Welcome to the City Manager's Report. The City Manager's Report, a look at city updates and municipal news, and a preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda. Your hosts, Emily Springstroh of Oshkosh Media and City Manager Mark Roloff.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for your City Manager's Report, your source for all of the local news and updates that are happening right here in the city of Oshkosh, as well as a preview of the upcoming Common Council meeting agenda. I'm your host, Emily Springstroh, joined as always by our City Manager, Mark Roloff. Welcome, Mark. Thanks for joining us today.
Great to be here, Emily.
It's great to have you. We've got a ton to talk about, even though it is a somewhat lighter agenda today, but we're going to go ahead and dive right into our hot topics for the first half of the show. We'll take a little break, and then we will return with a review of the Common Council meeting agenda for Tuesday, July 10th, 2018. So with that, Mark, we are right on the tail of the 4th of July. Today is the 5th, so yesterday was a day full of fun and patriotic activities here in Oshkosh, and one of those was the 4th of July parade. It was a great parade this year.
A wonderful event that we celebrate the 4th of July so well, our Independence Day. And of course, Oshkosh Media covered it from start to finish, and it was just a wonderful time for families to come out, even though it was a little hotter than usual. I don't think it kept the crowds away, though. I think everybody enjoyed it and just enjoyed the entire day, starting with the parade and ending with the fireworks show that is sponsored by Festival Foods in the city of Oshkosh. We're happy to have Festival as our partner on cost sharing for that great fireworks show. If you saw it, it was just
excellent.
Wonderful.
It was excellent. And yeah, there's so many fun things to do in Oshkosh on Independence Day. And so we're watching the 4th of July parade that took place. We did cover it. So if you missed it or you want to rewatch it or share it with your friends or family, it is available on our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Otherwise, it is airing on our channels as well. And yeah, like you said, Mark, the fireworks were just amazing. And we want to remind people that since the 4th of July did land on a weird day during the week, Sawdust Days is actually just getting started right now.
It continues through Saturday, July 7th, and so it's going to be busy around there. So just know to you're probably going to have to hike in a little bit if you get there later in the day. But we've got plenty of police out there to help direct traffic and do those types of things, and enjoy whatever it is. If you like carnival food or ethnic food or any kind of food. I think there's just about everything out there, wide variety. And of course, you have all of Menominee Park to enjoy, as well as a lot of the carnivals and things like that are out there.
Definitely. And if you're not as into the busyness of Sawdust Days, you can always go and check out the new Sea Sand and Sailorland playground, which is located out at Menominee Park. Although I guess it is still pretty busy during the Sawdust Days event, isn't it?
It sure is, but boy, was that packed.
Yeah.
And we just had the ribbon cutting for that the other day, so we're happy to talk about that as well.
Yes, and Oshkosh Media was able to get out to the ribbon cutting as well to record that, and we got to pull Ray Maurer, our Parks Director, aside and get some thoughts from him on the new playground. So let's take a listen.
We're celebrating the actual opening of Sea Sand and Sailorland, the new playground equipment that we had installed last year, part of Great Neighborhoods program with the city. So behind us is some brand new playground equipment with some of the resilient rubber surfacing, which makes it more accessible for anybody with special needs or walkers or seniors or anybody that just needs a little more assistance with mobility. We work closely with the neighborhood association and a lot of the kids in the neighborhood to choose what they wanted to see in a playground, and it really came out to be a really neat project.
So like Ray said, it was a great partnership with the Neighborhood Association, which was really behind making this new playground happen.
Yeah, the Menominee South Neighborhood Association, this was the project they felt would help tie together their neighborhood. So we're so happy that they picked a project such as that. And I can tell you, going out to Sawdust Days last evening, it was crawling with kids. The amount of kids that you see in this video pales in comparison to what was really happening there last night. So that can accommodate a lot of people, and for parents and for older parents, that rubberized surface is so easy on the knees.
Definitely.
Let me tell you. So it's actually a very nice. It helps for people with special needs. It really is a great addition to Menominee Park.
Yes, and it's really great to see that a lot of the newer parks, playgrounds, that are being built around Oshkosh do have that surfacing and are a little bit more inclusive to, walkers, wheelchairs, anything like that. So it's really exciting to see yet another one pop up on the other side of Oshkosh.
The technology for that rubberized surface has really improved, because it used to be if it had one little tear, it pretty much was ruined. Mm-hmm. Now it's almost like concrete. If you have a section that gets torn, and you're going to get that at the bottom of the slides and things like that, we can tear it out and re-pour it, and that's in that area, just like if we were patching a concrete a hole in the street or an asphalt patch, just like that. So this surface will be able to last for a very long time with that type of surface in it. So great work by our Parks Department to identify this technology that's available that'll keep this accessible for many years to come.
Excellent. So yes, once more, Sea Sand and Sailorland. Go check it out at Menominee Park, and a lot of other great parks in the city as well, and enjoy this great weather and take advantage of that. Last week was a pretty busy week, Mark. We had that ribbon cutting, and the same evening there was a big check presentation, literally a big check, over at the fire department on Court Street. So Leadership Oshkosh 2018, my class, the best class ever, was able to donate some money to the fire department for some saunas.
Leadership Oshkosh classes, all of them are great. Of course, everybody wants to believe their class is the greatest, but this was a pretty great class, because your class held a trivia night at Fox River Brewing Company a couple months ago, and there was an auction. They did a GoFundMe page, and they raised $11,000. And you really do need to tell the story about this. And I think our Fire Chief Mike Stanley explained a little bit of it about why we are looking to put saunas in the fire department.
Yeah, so let's take a listen at what Chief Stanley had to say about the saunas.
One of the most frightening things that firefighters face is the risk of cancer. That recently cancer overtook heart disease as the most common cause of death for firefighters. So it's hit close to home. Some of our members have been affected by it, certainly across the country. So being very proactive, being able to have this opportunity to have the saunas in the station so that they can get rid of some of those toxins is incredible, and is so valuable for their health and well-being. Really, we couldn't have even had this as a potential opportunity without Leadership Oshkosh. That, they're the ones that did the fundraising, took it on as a project. So really, without them, this is something that would probably be very far off on our horizon. So it's enabling us to do some great things.
The theory behind the saunas is that after the firefighters have been exposed to smoke and everything, the idea is to get it out of their system. So basically, they go, as soon as possible after they get back to the station, they get into the saunas and it essentially sweats out the toxins. And that's, if they stay in the body too long, that's when they can develop situations where you could develop cancer. Mm-hmm. So this is proven to be a great thing. And, that's not something that we necessarily can take care of in our regular budget. So the generosity of everyone in the community through the Leadership Oshkosh fundraising effort has made this possible, and really appreciate everyone who donated, not just the Leadership Oshkosh folks, but everybody in the community. Trivia night was fun. It was a great fundraising effort in Leadership Oshkosh the last few years, as each class has found a project to take part of, and a couple city projects have been good recipients of those recently.
Definitely. It's just another great example of how our community kind of comes together to make things happen, and definitely the fire department was a very well-deserving recipient this year of these funds. So very excited to be a part of that. Now it's that time of the show where viewers have a chance to ask their city manager anything they want about things that are happening right here in Oshkosh. Let's see what the question mark question is this week. All right, Mark, so question this week is, when will South Park be reopened?
Well, I'm glad the question's out there, but the easy answer is that it never has really been closed, and it's quite open right now. I think the misleading part is that so much of the surface area of South Park has to do with the ponds, and those are still under construction. We've had a slow process with our contractor, unfortunately, but these are recent pictures. These were taken at Food Truck Friday, and you can see that to the right, the splash pad's open, the playground's open, families are enjoying it, a lot of cars, and a lot of people were there for our first Food Truck Friday event, and hundreds of people found
It was packed.
It literally was. So even though the lake and the ponds make it look like it's not open, it's quite open. The shelter's open, the picnic shelter, the restroom area, everything's open. And with all the hot weather we've been having, please use the splash pad. It's a great fun. So these are some examples of things that aren't completely done. And eventually you're going to see a fishing pond over there, and we're redoing all of that and reinforcing the lakeside that was caving in and washing up over time. So that's all getting done right now, and that's off limits. But even though it's a large part of the park, the recreation part of South Park is very alive and very well. So don't be shy about going by. If you see it off of Ohio and maybe South Park, it doesn't look right. But if you're on 10th and Georgia, you can see that the park is very accessible, and I encourage you to go to it because we have more Food Truck Fridays coming up.
We have another Food Truck Friday coming up, yes, and it is so much fun. They have 12 food trucks this year, which is the most they've ever had. But the next one is coming up on July 20th from 5 to 9 p.m. Live music. I think there's a 50-50 raffle, actually. Beer, soda, water, everything that you need for a really fun Friday night at
and
South
it
Park.
all goes to support Friends of the Oshkosh Senior Center, which helps our senior center in our community. So everything goes to a good cause. And the food trucks are well in use on Friday night. The lines, get there early because the lines
Yes.
are long. But it's a great family-oriented event.
Yes, and it's so worth the wait for the lines, too, for those egg rolls and nachos and whatever else they've got out there. So definitely encourage you to hit up South Park for Food Truck Fridays to benefit the Senior Center. So before we go into our, I guess in place of our break today, we're going to show off our newest heavy metal segment, and that is an opportunity for us to showcase a very heavy piece of machinery that is in use by the city of Oshkosh. This time we focused on the excavator. So let's go ahead and take a look at the latest heavy metal segment.
I'm Todd Burns. I'm a Street Division Supervisor with the City of Oshkosh. We're going to talk about the excavator that's behind me. It is a John Deere 250G. We use that excavator year-round. We use it for a variety of things. We do city demos with this excavator. This is the same excavator that we removed the foundations at the Buckstaff's property. The excavator is 60,000 pound operating weight. It is 188 horsepower, and it can also reach a depth of 21 feet. The bucket is just a little over 2-yard capacity, and it is 4 feet wide. We also have another bucket, and that is primarily used for ditching. The difference between the two, the ditching bucket doesn't have any teeth on it, so it can smooth out the soil. We have one primary operator that does most of our demo work. He's most familiar with this machine, and he is very safe and conscientious.
Such a cool segment, right?
It is, and kudos, they mentioned our operator, but not by name. So Scott Yankee is our equipment operator that you saw in the video, and he usually handles that. And I love those guys because Todd mentioned it very briefly, but if it was not for those guys, that foundation at the Buckstaff property needed to get down in the middle of winter, and those guys worked between snow removal activities to get that foundation out so that the arena could get built in time. So those guys are my heroes, and they know how to work that piece of equipment, and that excavator is a beast.
Yes, I mean 60,000 pounds. Not too much.
Yeah, so I love telling these stories, and Scott Williams on Oshkosh Media staff has had so much fun putting together these segments, and I think it tells a good story about all this stuff. I mean, these are big investments that the city makes in this equipment, but we want to show that the equipment is used for a good purpose, and it helps us do so many things here in the city.
Yes, so great job to Scott from Oshkosh Media on the heavy metal segment. If you loved that segment and you want to see some of the other ones that we've done, just visit our YouTube page or our website, oshkoshmedia.org. Go on Facebook, they're listed there as well. Share them with your family and friends, and be on the lookout for the next one. So Mark, we used that segment as our break today, so we're going to go right into the City Council meeting agenda for July 10th, 2018. First item that we want to highlight here is under consent agenda, and that is for the manhole rehabilitation inflow and infiltration reduction program. So give us a little background on what this is.
Our inflow and infiltration program, we call it our I&I program, is to get water that might otherwise leak or infiltrate into our sanitary sewer system through rainwater and things like that. So these are some of the videos, and you can see that, sorry everybody, these are dirty pictures. These are right in our sewers, but you can see how water slips in through our manholes, either by leaks on the side or the manhole picks themselves. And there's also leaks in the sewer themselves where water is leaking in from a variety of sources. So the whole program is designed to eliminate that inflow or infiltration of clean water into our sanitary sewer system. When we do that, we reduce the amount of water that goes to our treatment plant because we're effectively treating clean water already. The idea is to minimize that. We're spending $750,000 a year, and we still have a long way to go to do that, but it's a program that we're diligently working on. We've been doing it since 2008, so we've probably spent $6-7 million over the last decade in reducing inflow and infiltration, and we're going to continue it until we have none, and it's going to be a while before that happens.
Definitely, and this is a really important project. This is at various locations, so there isn't really a specific area that we're going to be focusing on right now.
No, we go all over the city. Yeah. We identify really what we believe to be the worst areas, and we hit those first.
Excellent. So moving down right after that, we have the approval of the purchase of road salt for the 2018-2019 winter, and that's for the Morton Salt Company, and this is a big number, $293,000. Tell us about this number. It's higher than usual.
Yeah, it is, and it's higher for two reasons. And sometimes you got to deliver the bad news. But I don't think anybody's surprised that with the winter we had, especially the late snowstorm we had, that we used up a lot of salt. And here's our salt storage facility at our Public Works field operations, and we, start the season with that salt shed filled to the brim. That's the whole idea. We want to be ready for the winter. It's been depleted pretty significantly, so we have to buy a lot of salt. In addition, the bids we got from the state does a mass bid for statewide, and it's 14% higher for salt this year. That's the best price you're going to get on salt. So unfortunately, we're going to see ourselves probably go over budget on salt, probably around $50,000 for this year alone. So that's unfortunate, but that's one of those things where we might have to dip into reserves a little bit. That's exactly why we have reserves. The last couple of years, we didn't have heavy winters, so our salt budget didn't go up that much. We didn't go over budget. We had savings. Now we have to dip into those savings and use that. But when we aren't thinking about this type of a video today because it's so hot out there.
Yes.
But we have to prepare ourselves. You prepare yourselves in the summer so that you're okay in the winter. And I'm very comfortable making the recommendation. I don't want to shortchange ourselves because if you get an early bad winter, you're really going to pay the price. I want to make sure that salt shed's filled, and I've learned that over the years that you started full and you'll be okay the rest of the winter.
Definitely. Well, thank you for the insight and background on that for what a lot of people might not even be aware of behind the scenes with the salt. So moving down under consent agenda, we've got the award of the bid to Myron Construction for the police department locker room renovation. And this is an interesting one because it's a long time coming. There's a lot of updates that need to be made.
Well, police and fire are both operations that run 24 hours a day. And you have 3 shifts of firefighters that are coming in. These lockers get a lot of wear and tear. So we clearly needed to do it for that reason. It's been over 25 years. And secondly, our department's changed and we have a lot of female officers. We really didn't have much of a locker room for them, period. So we need to get ourselves with the times and get our locker rooms updated and get that all taken care of. So it's almost $500,000, but it's something that we haven't done in 25 years. So it's money well spent, and it'll be a good investment for the long term for the police department.
Excellent. Moving down under pending ordinances, we've got a couple items that are related to each other. One is both dealing with a zone change from neighborhood mixed use district to neighborhood mixed use district with planned development overlay. And this is on 129 West 17th Avenue. So tell us a little bit about what the change is, the changeover that's going to be happening here.
Well, this is the location of a former tavern. So the proposal is to change the land use from a tavern to a multifamily complex and using the same building. So you can see this a kind of an awkward shaped lot at 17th near Oregon, but the idea is to convert this into multifamily housing. Anytime you have a conversion of this, people are used to what's there already. Even though the tavern may have been noisy and things like that, it's a land use change. And certainly the residents have expressed some concerns of the Plan Commission. They may show up at this meeting as well and explain to council. But staff has looked at it, and we believe that given the size of this site and the parking available, that they can minimize impact to the neighborhood, even with a land use change. And actually, I think staff believes it'll be a lesser impact. So, but we have to hear what the public has to say and what the council will eventually do with this request.
Yes, so always important getting the public's input on that and just making sure everybody is aware of what's going on over there. Moving down under new resolutions, we've got a resolution to set the public hearing date to vacate, and then there's quite a list of some streets here, and they're kind of broken up into two parts. So why don't you tell us about that?
Sure. Well, the first part has to do with Oshkosh Corporation getting the road just right to serve Oshkosh Corporation from Keller, and then the extension of Westfield Street. The council has already received some land from Westfield Street. This is what the road's going to look like, and I could get into all the things we need to do, but essentially this is what Keller is going to look like when it's extended. So the idea is to vacate a little bit of land that's already there, that's public lands, and actually we've already transferred some land, but then the Army Corps of Engineers took a look at it and said, well, we think it would be better if you have the road this way. So we believe this will be the final look of North Keller Street extended. So we're starting the process to shift lands and take care of that.
Okay, and then after that, there is some areas, housekeeping items. You referred to them as.
Yeah, they were when we were doing all the work to transfer some of the land over to Oshkosh Corporation from Lakeshore Golf Course. The properties that we're keeping, we found that there were some streets that were platted out there from the 1920s, and there's absolutely no need to have these. These are in public areas, so we're going to vacate all these streets and just get it cleaned up so that Rainbow Park and the remainder of Lakeshore Golf Course, all those right-of-ways are vacated. Most of the land is actually going to revert to the city. There's a tiny area down at the south end that'll revert to some private property, but it's a housekeeping item. But we figured since we're getting the process of vacating right-of-way, we may as well get these taken care of at the same time.
Excellent. So some great information, a lot going on in that end of town too. And now we're going to move on to another really important item that we want to make sure we've got time to talk about. That's the support of the League of Wisconsin Municipalities' efforts to reform commercial property tax in the amount of $10,000. This is relating to the dark store situation.
Yeah, we commonly refer to it as the dark store, and this is property tax assessments that have really been shifting the burden of the property tax from large commercial properties to residential and small businesses. This is not something that's anti-business, because small businesses are being impacted negatively by this loophole that was actually created by the courts, that suddenly large businesses, big box type of stores, are trying to use various tactics, including this dark store theory that says that a perfectly successful operating store should be valued similarly to a vacant store such as the Kmart site on Keller Street, which makes absolutely no sense. And that has been used, it's been proposed here in Oshkosh. So the League of Wisconsin Municipalities has been going through a public education campaign to try to get the legislature to change this. And even though there was a majority of the legislature that wanted to do it, it still wasn't moved forward. So the League of Wisconsin Municipalities is looking for communities to donate money towards a campaign to get this going. And we're one of the largest cities in the state. They've asked us to step up in large part, and so I'm recommending that we provide $10,000 to this campaign to conduct a statewide campaign to educate people, educate the public, to let their legislators know that this is something that impacts every community in the state, whether you have a big box store in your community or not.
Definitely. Very, very important information here. For more information, you can check out the League of Wisconsin Municipalities website or Facebook page, because they are already getting a lot of that important, those important facts out there about this loophole. So moving down towards the end of the agenda, Mark, we've got a few save the date items. First one being a budget workshop on July 25th at 5 o'clock. That's in room 404. Will be broadcast live on GovTV. And any mini preview for us?
The first of 6 budget workshops. So we pretty much kind of set the table of what where we think things are going for the coming year, and just get ourselves oriented towards just thinking about the budget and what some of the trends might be coming up in 2019.
Perfect. Then right after that, we've got another save the date item. National Night Out is coming up on August 7th, and this is a really fun night.
It is. The police department, our neighborhood planners, they're out there with all our neighborhood associations. A lot of fun. It's really just to connect with neighbors and connect with people at the city, and these wonderful events. So many different neighborhood associations put these on. We're really pleased that we're going to have this again on Tuesday, August 7th.
Yes, and all the info is on the Oshkosh Police Department's page, or check out Facebook. There's an event set up for that as well. And then one other save the date, or I guess meeting date change, we should say, is the council meeting that is going to be switched from August 14th to August 15th, and that is because of the election day.
Primary election is on Tuesday, August 14th, so we automatically move our council meeting to the next day there. So just be aware that we do have a primary on Tuesday, August 14th, and just be sure to vote, or you can do mail-in and things like that. Just participate if you can.
Yes, and we'll be sending out reminders too on Facebook about this meeting date change and voting reminders as well. So it's just a good little reminder. And then continuing on under the city manager announcements and statements, we have the professional services agreement with FGM Architects for the City Hall space needs assessment. Tell us about that.
The council had directed me to do a study of space needs throughout the city. This is the first step, taking a look at City Hall, asking departments to look ahead 20 years to say, what do you think we're going to look like, and what space needs might you have? We know that meeting space is a little tight here right now, but we want to think larger than just that, and then take a look at what assets we have available to see how we can meet some of those needs in the future.
Excellent. So more details to come in the future on that one. And then right after that, we've got renovation of the Riverwalk by the Leach Amphitheater. Tell us about that.
This was actually the very first part of the Riverwalk that was done. It was done on the Leach Amphitheater site, on the former site of a Wisconsin Public Service. So this area that you see in front of you was done because it was part of an environmental remediation, and it was done without all the technology that we now know. And now that boats are mooring over there for the Waterfest and things like that, it's starting to show its age because of that, and we're going to be reinforcing that. And the idea here is AECOM is the firm that helped do it originally, and now that we have a little more knowledge, they're the ones most aware of the environmental concerns out there, so we got to be careful about that, and we're going to be taking a look at that before we get the improvements done.
Definitely. And then one other thing we want to squeeze in here is the William Waters Plaza. There's a purchase for some benches and tables coming up.
You may remember we had a discussion about the River East area and the William Waters Plaza. So this is the rendering of the William Waters Plaza. And if you take a close look, there's a variety of things out there, like some tables where people can play chess or checkers or just board games. And the whole idea is we're getting the wheels in motion. So Victor Stanley benches and tables are being purchased with our Great Neighborhoods funds, and hopefully make this an area that the public can congregate at. I know that the Apperton Children's Choir was performing on the steps of the library, and people hung out at William Waters Plaza, made a great event. So we're hoping to continue that for the future.
Just a really cool little area over there, and I know there's a ton of information on the city website. So if you're curious about that, visit the city website for a better look at those visuals as well. We are out of time, Mark, on City Manager's Report. So as always, thanks so much for joining us today.
It's been a pleasure.
Again, the Common Council meeting is this Tuesday, July 10th at 6 p.m. You can watch it live on GovTV and on our website at oshkoshmedia.org, or you can tune in to Oshkosh FM, which is also online and on the TuneIn Radio app for mobile devices. Make sure you like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter for all of your community and government programming and updates, or check out our YouTube channel for government meeting replays and past episodes of your favorite programs. And as always, don't forget, if you have a question for City Manager Mark Roloff, send it to us on Twitter, post it to our Facebook wall, or email it to us, and he'll answer it on the next episode of CMR. So once again, thank you for joining us on City Manager's Report, and we'll see you next time.